welcome to this roll out of bed morning Hatha Yoga influenced by Somatics Flow by Nazan here at Nazan Visions. So feel free to get real comfy and grab a pillow to place under your knees or a bolster, a cushion to place under your head and a blanket to use at the beginning and end of the practice if you wish. For demonstration purposes, I won't be using the blanket, and I'll also remove the pillow under my knees so that I can show you what constructive rest pose is. But if you'd like to use a pillow, you can just place your knees over the pillow or bolster and have your legs be straight, coming into a laying down position. Or in constructive rest pose with soles of the feet on the floor, on your mat width apart, and knees falling in towards each other. This helps to put pressure off the lower back. Taking a few breaths here. Deep breaths to arrive, land and be. Giving space to your mind and your body to breathe. Maybe taking a yawn. Really elongating that out breath when you breathe out, dropping into that parasympathetic nervous system. Resting and digesting, processing with ease, with calm, slowing that heart rate down. Taking a couple more breaths here before we invite in some movement to warm up the body. And on your next out breath, hugging in the knees and rocking from side to side, maybe removing the cushion under your head, placing it to one side. And drawing a figure of 8 with the knees. This in turn also draws a figure of 8 with the lower lumbar region of the back, the lower back, massaging the hips, the waist, and the sacrum. Taking any rocking movements that feel good to release any tension in this area. Rolling the ankles and bringing the legs up straight so the soles of the feet are facing the ceiling and the toes are flexed towards the face. Feeling that deep stretch in the back of the legs, the hamstrings. And now one leg at a time, rolling the ankles and then the knees, circling the knees, and then the whole leg from each hip socket. So starting with the right leg, the whole leg from that hip socket, easing any stored emotions, any emotional holding in this area before switching to the other leg, circling the knees, the ankles, the hip, the whole leg from that hip socket. And don't forget to breathe here as you lubricate the joints in the legs. And then hugging the knees in, we stack the legs as they come to a bend towards the right hand side, really drawing them down, stacking them on top of each other as we come into a twist. So we face the opposite direction to where our knees are pointing. Knees are over towards the right hand side and the gaze is over towards the left hand side. Breathing here in this spinal twist, lower middle and upper spine. And then breathing back down, filling that body with breath. Before coming to find your alignment in the center there, drawing the knees in again and then over towards the other side. Knees fall out towards the left hand side with the bottom leg on the floor and the top leg stacked on top, and we gaze over our right shoulder here. Arms can be below the shoulder level height, and you may place your left hand on the right thigh there just to press down gently for a deeper twist. Breathing in and gathering everything back together before reaching everything out. Stretching all the limbs, arms up and overhead, and the legs straight on the floor, toes flexed forwards. Before coming to a lateral stretch, like a half moon shape or a banana shape. So the hips stay where they are and the shoulders shimmy over towards the right, arms up and overhead and over towards the right as the left foot also stacks over the right foot, giving space to that left side body there. Coming over towards the other side to give space for your right hand side body to breathe. Breathing in and out. Coming back to center and allowing yourself to stretch once again, the arms up and overhead and legs out straight, before bringing yourself back into constructive rest pose, soles of the feet on the floor. And then either coming to your side to come up into a seated position, or rolling up and down, rocking up and down the mat. The hands can be behind the thighs there. Breathing in and breathing out, massaging the back as we rock up and down and activate some energy until you eventually find yourself in a seated position but with soles of the feet on the floor, knees bent, and just hugging yourself here in this ball-like shape, fetal-like shape on this level, this plane that we have arrived in off the ground. A moment of gratitude towards the self for showing up, rolling out of bed and being here on this mat. And now coming to a zed-legged position, so the left foot is pressed on top of the right thigh and the right sole of the foot is facing backwards. And now we use our right hand to place on top of the left knee, and then we bring the left hand up and overhead, giving space to that left hand side body there in this slight twist. If it's too much for your arm to be up and overhead, if it's quite fatiguing for example, then you may place it on your lower spine or just behind you there. And now bringing your hand that's behind you, beside you, just right next to the left hip, and then sweeping your right arm forwards and up as you bring the hips up, taking a breath here. And now we repeat this on the other side, switching the position of our legs. So the right foot is on the left knee and the left hand is on the right knee. The right arm is up and overhead or down behind you or on your lower back, your sacrum area. Opening that heart space. And with the hand that's behind you, just placing that right next to you, beside your right hip, and sweeping that left arm forwards and up as you bring the hips up for a breath here. And now finding your way to a kneeling position with toes tucked in, and taking a moment here, aligning yourself through the midline, the central channel, head over heart and heart over pelvis. Circling the shoulders, releasing the upper body, circling the elbows and the wrists. Breathing in and out, interlacing the fingers and pushing the palms forwards, hunching the back over as we do so. And then we can bring the arms up and overhead and come into a slight back bend before drawing the palms together up and overhead, and then in front of you, in front of the heart chakra, releasing the shoulders and then coming into a twist. So bringing the right hand to place on your left knee, and then allowing the left hand to fall behind you wherever feels comfortable. Inhaling and reaching up with the torso. Exhaling and twisting a little deeper. Gazing over the left shoulder there. And now we repeat on the other side. So we switch our hands around. So our left hand is now on our right knee and our right hand is behind us. Breathing in and elongating through the spine, lengthening through the spine, gazing over the right shoulder. And after your next breath out, finding your way into a child's pose. So this is where we bring our upper body towards the floor. We're still in this kneeling position. We untuck the toes, knees together, feet together, arms by your side or arms up and overhead but on the floor. Taking a deep breath here, a couple deep breaths to recharge, reset, come back to yourself. And a reminder here that you can come back to a resting position that works for you at any point during any practice. And now finding your way into a tabletop position to place the hands below the shoulders and the knees below the hip points. Breathing in and opening that chest area, lifting the head, the chin, the tailbone, belly towards the floor, and as you exhale, gathering everything back in. Head tucks in, tailbone tucks in, back arches the opposite way. Breathing in opening across the heart chakra, chest area, the collarbone, and then breathing out, tucking everything back in. And now pressing into the palms, into all the knuckles of the hands, we draw ourselves back into an upside down V shape. So a downward facing dog, as if being pulled by a string by the tailbone, pedaling our feet out, keeping our toes on the floor and keeping our legs bent, head hanging in between the arms. And then sliding forwards so that the pelvis connects with the mat, and then the belly comes towards the floor, the chest, the forehead. And your hands stack in front of you, below the forehead, making a pillow here to rest again. So we draw everything back on our next breath in, into a hare pose, another resting position, as if you're in child pose, but with knees out wide, arms up and overhead, but on the floor, palms facing down, and the glutes rest above the heels there, or draw towards the heels. And now lifting, peeling up the torso, coming into that kneeling position again and rubbing the hands together to create friction in between the palms, and then placing one hand on the heart and one hand on the belly. Another moment here to be with what arises. Taking a moment to contemplate your heart's intention for the day ahead. Noticing your heartbeat, your breath, the flow of you and of your practice. And now mindfully moving into a laying down position in constructive rest pose, soles of the feet on the floor, knees together. And now having the knees come out wide so that the knees are falling in opposite directions, left knee towards the left side and the right knee towards the right side, with the soles of the feet together. A nice groin, hip, thigh stretch here. One breath in, one breath out. And now placing the soles of the feet back down, knees hip width apart. And then as we have our hands by our side, we press the palms into the mat, and then we lift on an in-breath into bridge pose. And you're welcome to stay up here, breathing in and out as you lift the hips in this slight inversion. Or you're welcome to invite in some fluidity, breathing in and up and breathing out and slightly down or all the way down, but being really mindful here and noticing, drawing your awareness towards the pelvic tilt, the way that it's tilting, the direction and the articulation that invites throughout your spine. And then on your next breath out, drawing everything back together and down, collecting. Soles of the feet on the floor, knees bent in that constructive rest position. And now we will windshield wiper the legs from left to right. So the feet can be off the floor and eventually move so that they are on the floor in contact with the mat, the ground, the earth. And we're just moving from left to right with the hips, the legs. Releasing any more stored emotional holding or tension in these areas. And now inviting the arms, the shoulders, the head, rocking fully from side to side as you breathe in and out. And then allowing yourself to land towards the right hand side, gathering yourself together in this fetal position, hugging the knees in. Fetal position resembling new beginnings, a new day ahead of you. Feeling of freshness, renewal, rebirth. Using the hand of your top arm, lifting yourself by pressing the palm into the mat, coming up from your side to protect your back. Finding your way into a seated position. You're welcome to elevate the hips slightly by sitting on your cushion. This can help support the natural curvature of your spine. And then eventually drawing your hands together at your heart center. Bowing to yourself in gratitude, remembering your heart's intention for the day ahead. The light in me honors the light in you. I hope you have a wonderful day ahead of you. Namaste.